Hi everybody, happy Labor Day. I almost forgot to post this recording. We have class today, but I know that most of the country is on vacation today, so I apologize for the late start. So week 3, module 3, we're going to be taking a look at motivation. And so this is part of the influencing other people's behavior aspect of organizational behavior. This is something most parents want to be able to do, and leaders and team members want to be able to do, is to motivate the people that you work with to exert effort towards your goals. Unfortunately, it's not something you can flip a switch, or turn on or turn off. Really what you can do is try to create an environment where people are willing to exert effort towards your goals or towards the organization's goals. And so we've got a couple of chapters here about motivation. One looks at the different theories of motivation, so different ways that people have tried throughout the professional management history to figure out, why do people do what they do? Is it something they value? Is it something they need? Is it a calculation that they make? And try to figure out, what we can do to motivate people. The other chapter has to do with creating a work environment that is inherently motivating. So for most of you professionals, having freedom to do your job, having important work, being able to grow and develop and contribute, those are all aspects of a job or a workplace that can be motivating for you. So we're going to take a look at a couple of chapters from the textbook. The journal this week is about courage, and so we've got a couple of readings and a couple of videos here. If you're not familiar with Brené Brown, you can also get a book that expands on this short clip. We'll do a discussion board, a written assignment, and a journal assignment for this week. Okay, making sure that you can hear me. Okay, so your discussion board, this is always interesting. I'm going to ask you to review a case, and this is from the chapter. So you can read it there, you can read it here. You're in charge of allocating a bonus, $12,000 to a team, and so we want you to share with everybody how you're going to allocate, how much each person gets, and then how you made that decision. Okay, and then use specific concepts from chapters 5 and 6 so that I can assess your learning. Okay, sorry, I had to take a break there. So number 3 is really important. I need you to use the concepts from the chapters so that I can use your response to this assignment to assess your knowledge of and ability to apply those concepts. So that was one of the comments that I gave after grading. Whoops, there's somebody's response already. And then to put your original post, I subscribed instead of went to the next page. Your original post should be posted by Wednesday. Some of you are already in there. And then respond to at least 2 other posts by Sunday at midnight. So your written assignment. So here's what we're going to evaluate. I'm going to ask you to look at your job that you're doing now. You can use student if you're a full-time student. So evaluate your job according to this model. Okay, so first I ask you a general, what is your job? How motivating is it? Use concepts from chapter 6. And here's the model. Okay, so according to the job characteristics model, do you use a lot of skills in your job? Do you produce a complete service or product you create? Or do you just do a piece of something? So that means that you don't identify with the finished product. How important do you see your job as being? So these are all perceptions of the individual. Autonomy is freedom to make decisions about how you do your work, and then feedback is knowing, ideally from doing the job itself, whether or not you succeeded. Right? So if you're an electrician and you turn the light switch and the light doesn't go on, you've got immediate feedback, something's wrong. It's not so easy in the workplace usually. These core job characteristics should lead to these critical psychological states. We want people to feel that what they do is meaningful, they feel responsible, and they know how they did, which leads to these positive outcomes in terms of motivation and satisfaction. So the moderator's here. So what that means is these relationships should be true, assuming that the individual has the knowledge and the skill they need, they want to grow and develop and learn, and that the context is good enough. So it's not too dangerous, they get enough pay, it's not too uncomfortable, they don't have terrible people that they're working with. So that's one way that you can describe your role and evaluate how motivating it is, or you can use other chapter concepts. How does the organization try to reward you, and is it effective? And then make recommendations. So evaluate, explain, make recommendations about how they might influence your behavior and motivate you moving forward. And then finally, the characteristic of principled leaders for this week is to act and speak with courage. And courage doesn't have to be, you think of our military and former military veterans, it doesn't have to be line of fire courage, right? It doesn't have to be jumping in front of a speeding bullet. So courage can be, standing up in front of a crowd when you're nervous about presenting, right? It can be asking someone out on a date. So it doesn't have to be, life or death kind of situation. So I'm going to ask you about a time when you had courage, when you didn't have courage. So in the workplace, often, you have to decide, am I going to speak up? Am I going to object? Am I going to point out a problem? Am I going to point out an inequity? All those could be courage, ways to use your courage. So I'm going to ask you to identify one way you will exercise your courage muscle in the future. So again, this does not have to be crazy. If you're the nurse, you don't have to try a different drug that you think is better, but it could be something related to, trying to lead somebody in a different way, trying to get your team to work together more effectively. So again, it doesn't have to be life and death. It doesn't have to be, a huge change that could make or break your company, but, it could be courage in terms of starting the graduate program. That could have taken courage for you. And then finally, how can you encourage others to be more courageous? So I look forward to reading your comments, and have a good week.